All right, everybody, welcome to, now it's live. Welcome to Wisdom Keys with myself, Brother Francis, here through Facebook Live, but I'm coming right through Resonant Essentials, the group. I'm glad to be here today. It is December 16th, 2021, approximately at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're watching from California, it'll be 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. If you're out in like St. Louis, Missouri, it will be 2 p.m. And if you're out there in New York and Long Island and up and down the East Coast, the time for you would be about 3 p.m. So I'm glad to be here today. This is one of those opportunities to always come on and share wisdom keys with you. And these are actual lifetime, everyday experiences. And so a lot of my topics come from that, okay? What I'm also going to do today is let you all know that tomorrow, usually at 12 p.m., is Swanda. And Swanda comes on with some wonderful metaphysical teachings that you could put right to use every day. That's the way we like to teach here, and that is Michelle Vidal, the owner of Resonant Essentials. Also on Saturday will be my Creative Pathwork Meditation series. So if you have not been able to attend, come on in, Resonant Essentials, Suite 34 at 3107 Eubank Avenue, Eubank Boulevard, Northeast here in Albuquerque, inside of the Scottsdale Shopping Plaza, which is just slightly north by about 30 seconds of the intersection of Candelaria Boulevard Northeast and Eubank Boulevard Northeast. Okay, so you want to do that. Just stay in touch with us. Always come through. We're here to help you out, and I know Michelle is here to help you. She does a lot of work, and she brings a lot of people here. So I want you to be able to be aware and be ready to do that. Well, my topic for today, Wisdom Keys segment, is called Magic of Happiness 101. Magic of Happiness 101. The subtitle is When the Magic of Joy Leads to Self-Discovery. Well, our entire life, if believe it or not, is all about self-discovery. Can you imagine just thousands of times that you have been awake, that you go to sleep, you wake up, during the day, you are discovering or having some situations where you have to uncover who you are. You have to recover parts of yourself that you have lost or misplaced or have been shocked out of your system. And then there's those moments of self-discovery. What I found out is that there are four basic hurdles that keep us from experiencing joy in our life. Number one is low self-esteem. Number two is fear. Now, that fear can be real, or that fear that we experience can not be real. Then there are illusions that pop up in our lives. And then one of the biggest ones is our personal ego. A lot of us go through life where we're fighting off or hiding behind, or another way, having a mask, and it's called the ego. Now, you could have an unhealthy ego, and you could have a healthy ego. Well, what basically is low self-esteem? Low self-esteem, all of us at some point in our lives have experienced those moments where we have felt lowly about ourselves, where we lack a sense of who we are. We devalued ourselves, or have others around us who decrease our self-worth through mistreating us. Many people all the way around the world have experienced being at the fiery end of a coworker, a supervisor, a manager, somebody that runs the whole entire place, and they're constantly throwing their daggers at you. Many of us have come through dysfunctional families where we've experienced the same thing. Some people have been uh, have the bottom knocked out from underneath them when they experience abusive relationships. So we have gone through this where other people have just simply mistreated us, and at some point we go through a process where we don't care enough about ourselves. And that's important. Those I kind of look at those as the four basic hurdles. At some point they become walls in our life if we're not allowing ourselves in some way, some fashion, some form, as they say, to overcome, jump over the hurdle. I know you've seen runners, right? Running a race in a track meet. Now, the whole goal is to clear the hurdle. You got 10 hurdles. The whole goal is to clear all 10 of those hurdles without knocking them over. But I've seen people, and you've seen people too, win races where they graze a hurdle and it rocks, or they actually knock over the hurdle. And what happens is, if their stride is to perfection, near perfection, they can knock over the hurdle and don't lose stride. So many of us can get to this point where we can knock over the hurdle of low self-esteem and don't lose stride. Knock over the hurdle of fear, don't lose stride. Knock over the hurdle of illusions or illusionary thinking, and then our personal ego. Well, fear. The late founder of the Silver Mind Method, many of you may have heard of this guy. He was from Mexico. His name was Jose Silver. He was into electronics, and I believe he was an electrician. And he started getting into meditation. And over the years, his work was carried on by his children and his spouse, and it's called the Silver Mind Method. He turned this word fear into an acronym. The acronym, each letter means a word. Fear is false expectations appearing real. False expectations appearing real. That means many of us expect something to happen. Sometimes we expect some good things to just fall into our lap without actually doing the work on ourselves to get it there, to make room. It's the same thing if you buy a car, any old car, brand new car, old car, used car, and you just expect that when you get in and put the key in and turn it to the right, that engine and the pistons are going to fire and you could, get the car moving. But if you don't know some basic things like, do you have enough gas in the car? Do you have enough oil in the car? If you don't have enough oil, it's not going to run smooth, and eventually the engine does get hot and it's going to cause the engine to seize up, to overheat. So there's things that you do have to do mindfully. You do have to take care of some things in order to overcome these hurdles. Now, this is the false expectations appearing real, is also similar to worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. I remember my elders used to say, when I was, going to school and I played in a band, an R&B band, and a little nervous because I didn't think I could be that outgoing and play for a band, let alone be in front of an audience of a whole lot of people. But we would worry so much that worry would take over and then fear would set in. Yet, the showtime is not until 2, 3, 4 hours off later in the day or in the evening. So we were worrying about something before we crossed the bridge, before we got prepared, before we got all our instruments together and the clothes that we were going to wear that night, before we got on stage. We were worrying way too much. And therefore, when you worry that much, that sets up false expectations because you haven't gone through the experience, but you're using all of this emotional energy, mental energy, physical energy that gets spent before you get on stage. Life is like that too. In our lives, we could do some things that we shouldn't be doing, right? And we're causing ourselves to become overwhelmed just by everything without thinking clearly, without being emotionally clear, without having enough rest for the physical body. Then there's illusions. Illusions are defined as something falsely perceived through our five physical senses. Basically, we might find ourselves hallucinating because it isn't real. So we could have some illusions in the mind. We could create illusions in our mind about a job, but you're not there yet. You could create illusions about business relationship, personal relationship, relationship with family members, but you're not seeing it properly because sometimes your mind is closed off, you're not looking clearly, you're not seeing or understanding, and sometimes you're not putting yourself in the other person's shoes, so to speak, to see what it is that they see. Try to come to a level of what they're understanding. Because in any event, no matter what you're doing, it's not always all about yourself. And I go through some situations where after the end I go, oh my God, I made it all about myself. Really didn't think clearly in that one. Didn't respond properly in that one. Didn't even hold myself accountable for that one as I should have. So there are a lot of things that happen. And that's just 3 hurdles. The 4th hurdle is the personal ego. This is when we have this sense of self-importance. Now, we're all important. We all have value in life. No matter where you are on the planet, you are a significant being. You're the metaphysical and the spiritual. Spiritual is more like your personal light that you carry. You're plugged in to a greater grid of people. However, one of the issues that we all have experienced is when we have this grandiose way of thinking that we're the all-important grand poobah of society. And only we count. We got all the ideas and we think they're crystal clear, but we may not have worked on them. We might have some flaws, and it's a part of the journey on earth where you're going to have some flaws. Now, some people are busy picking through the flaws, trying to figure out which one is not the heaviest, but they all have weight, right? So that personal ego will step in and says, it's all on me, it's me, I'm more important. That's like when you have somebody around you. Many of us have experienced, and I'll use myself as an example, both sides of the fence, much younger in life. Because I was this quiet guy from grade school into high school into college, at some point in there a little bit, I was being very needy. Yes, I was being very needy. I just kind of thought that everything, and everyone should be paying me a lot of attention. And sometimes when you have that feeling, you do start to think it's about me. I need the attention on myself. Then there's that other phase when you don't even want that kind of attention. And people put you on a pedestal anyway. In most cases, get ready to fall off that pedestal. Somebody's going to knock the pedestal out from underneath you if you are not properly presenting yourself, meaning some of the favorite words, authenticity, originality. If you're not doing any of those things, then people aren't necessarily seeing you in the true light that they should see you in. So often we are, as an ego mindset, we're consciously thinking how we want to be, how we want to present ourselves. But we got a couple of nuts and bolts missing. We're not being sound in our thinking. We're not also being kind. We're not being generous. We're not showing gratitude. We're not showing honesty, integrity. We don't show up many times with these things. And then you have people, and I've experienced this, I've went through it myself, that's why I could be transparent and talk about it, where you think everybody else owes you. Have you ever been in those situations? You think this person owes me. I've done so much for them, they owe me. I've go to this job, I spent 15, 20, 30 years on the job, they owe me. But yet you had to work at the job. You had to bring yourself up to a level, one step at a time, one floor at a time, till you got to the top. And maybe you didn't get to the top, but some part of you may have enjoyed the job, may have enjoyed the journey. Or some part of you may have decided, you know what, I've been here 3, 4 years, I'm going to leave. And some people have gotten smarter, and what do they think? Well, if I stay here for 5 years, just 5 years, get through the first 5 years, that will guarantee me a retirement check. So even though I'm having a rough time, I'm going to hang out. I'm still going to do my job and try to get past those 5 years. Now I can think about going someplace else, doing something. Maybe I'll start my own business or something. Or maybe I'll go pursue that acting career, that music career. I'll do something that I'm not doing now, but I have a calling. I know I do. So we got to find a way to take that personal ego and sit it aside. Now, there's also the inner child, the sacred child. The inner child, there used to be a guy who was a psychologist, psychotherapist, way back in the 80s, maybe late 70s, 80s. His name was, I think, John Bradshaw. And he was a guy that used to talk about that all the time. Another one was, I think, Barbara DeAngelis. She was another person that spoke about, the inner child and how sometimes, we carry things into our lives, right, from childhood all the way up, where people are putting you down, beating you down, abusing who you are, and so on and so forth. So at times, you don't get an opportunity to have that inner child be healed, have your emotions be healed, so that you could be stronger in the world. You could truly show up in the world. Well, all of these have to be cleared, and we must build up our esteem. We got to rebuild consciously, not unconsciously, consciously rebuild ourselves. So in the process of rebuilding ourselves, we get stronger. In other words, you're not going to, let's say, make the same errors or mistakes. You're not going to let people walk all over you. You're going to develop some diplomacy skills, right? Where you're going to act differently, respond differently. But first, you're going to hold yourself accountable for how you're acting. What are you putting out into the world? This is why it's always good when you get up in the morning to do some meditation, or if you do some prayer work, or you journal, to try to put your mind on the right track so that you could write the pre-story. Just like every constitution has a preamble. The preamble tells you what's in the Constitution, what's the main principles or keys that Constitution represents. When you journal in the morning, or you meditate in the morning, or you do some prayer work in the morning, you're putting yourself into a position where you can create in your mind, in the mindset, and in the heart exactly how you want something to be that day. And throughout the day, you could check your journal. Well, the keys to help you unlock the joy is thinking of others in a healthy way, which means be respectful, overcoming our fears, and erasing, not putting aside, erasing illusions while putting the ego in check. Think of your ego as a misfiring gun. Think of your ego as this little piece in the mouth that wags around and it's connected to the, everything else. You want to make sure that it's engaged properly so that you don't say something that you have no business saying. Remember, our words can cut. Our words carry energy. And there's a lot of pent up energy that we have that can slice or cut down someone when you shouldn't be doing that. So, if we put the ego in check, we don't have to have other people keep us off the pedestal. We'll keep ourselves off the pedestal. This is the magic of happiness 101, when the magic of joy leads to self-discovery. See, the more we can shower ourselves with self-love, meaning love yourself, that raises our level of self-esteem. It increases our self-respect. And what we're going to find out through all of this is the remembrance. The remembrance that we have acquired personally and collectively. Remember, I think Lynn Taggart says it, the entangled mind, right? We are all interconnected. So we all are having, if not the same exact experience, but similar experiences, or we hear about the same experiences or similar experiences going all the way around the world. So we are often having these same kind of experiences, just at different times of the day. Well, one of the things that you're going to remember when you're going through all of this and you're doing your best to clear your hurdles, you're going to have unconditional love implemented in your life. And when you can put unconditional love, now what's unconditional love? Well, unconditional means no strings attached. It kind of goes back to false expectations appearing real. That means I'm not going to tell somebody I'm going to do such and such and such if you do this, 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 and this. I'm not going to present my cards on the table and seal out the other person. That's creating a condition, which means the person has to do it exactly the way I want them to do it. But when it's a condition, that means I'm not accepting something that they're adding to the piece that can make it better. Why? The personal ego's in the way. So unconditional love, and I learned it a long time ago, they said, love is a force that binds two souls and makes them one. Through love, you are embracing each other. Through love, you're bringing out the best, sometimes the worst in each other, but it's not really the worst. It's just another aspect of the self that must come to the surface to be understood. So unconditional love gets implemented in one's life and enhances the self-esteem, the self-love, and definitely, infinitely increases your self-worth. That's that phrase, I am. What is it? Reverend Jesse Jackson used to say it. I am somebody. I am, he used to say that back in the 60s, civil rights era. I am somebody. The late Reverend Ike used to say, whatever you place after the three letters I am, which represents the God in you, you shall become. So if you say I'm rich, you're going to be rich one day. I am wealthy, you're going to be wealthy one day. I am happy, you're going to be happy one day. If you say I am magical, you're going to become magical one day. But then you have to fine tune it to something that you want. How many of you seen that commercial one time when the guy is working with the genie in his garage, right? And the genie says he has some wishes, right? And the guy in the garage says, okay, I want $1,000,000. And what happens? The genie says, boom. He looks outside his garage, all in front of his property, all up and down the block are $1,000,000 animals. He wasn't specific, right? So we have to be even specific in our words, which carry emotional charged energy that can bring things into your life. Now, all of these elements are placed into motion. We build up our momentum using joy. Joy kicks forth happiness. As we begin to discover our true value through unconditional love, our life is magically blessed. I'm going to say that again. Our life is magically blessed and transformed through the joy of self-discovery, because that's what you're doing. You're here to experience, to figure out who you are, what's your truth, what are your true core values. You're here to be a beacon of unconditional love, and coming through the aegis, as I say, of divine grace, through the wings of divine grace, to be this conscious being who has 5 physical senses and has extrasensory perception, other senses that one can tune into, that can help mold and create a better life, not only for themselves, because if we fall back into this pattern, I'm self-important, I'm the most important person, and no one else counts, then what will happen is you'll never evolve. You're never elevated. You'll be caught in that rut. So we don't want to get caught in a rut, right? So what I wanted to be able to do with this today, at the same time, is to, we have to work on ourselves all the time. We have to change our mindset. We have to create more joy from our hearts. Then we shall see and experience wellness, as we are the creators of our own reality. So to help us be the creator of our own reality, what we want to do, or what I would like to do, and I want to say thank you to Brandon Jamal Smith, Michelle Vidal, yes, Susan Solari, thank you. I want to, when I thought about doing this, and I stayed up to the wee hours. I'm always this guy that's up late that should be sleeping, right? But I thought, when I got up this morning and I reread these notes, I said to myself, let's close this out with a meditation. Let's close this out with a meditation. So we've kind of heard the teachings, and we kind of, words have energy, but so do our thoughts. Our thoughts carry energy. And I'm going to use what Reverend Ike has said. The I am, those words are the names of the God within. In the biblical sense, I think it's in Acts or Hebrews, where it says that gods speak to gods. That's what we're doing right now. I'm a god, you're a god, goddess. I'm speaking to you as if I'm speaking to myself. I'm sharing this remembrance because I know you all have remembrances. So, let's put it into a meditation. And here's another person that Reverend Ike used to follow too, the late Neville Goddard, Goddard. And he used to say, think from the end. In other words, have the end result in your mind. Reverend Ike used to say, let's go into the theater of the mind. He's talking about meditation, creative process. We are creative beings. We are spiritual sentient beings, which means we can sense light and feel it, and we're metaphysical. We're beyond this physical. So let's have a meditation at the end. And the meditation is magic of happiness. I want you to feel the magic called joy. Just take a moment and breathe. And say to yourself as you inhale and as you exhale, I want you to think and say to yourself, I am joy. And then I want you to feel what that word has in it for you. I am joy. I am joyful. I am the magic of joy. I am unconditional love. I am beauty and harmony. I am harmonic peace. Not just peace, harmonic peace. That means all the way around your life there's harmony. I am gratitude. I am grace divine. Or you can say divine grace. I am a beacon of divinity. I am a trailblazer when it comes to self-discovery. I am integrity. I am hope. I am a radiant light. I am a creative being, spiritual and metaphysically blessed being. Everyone in my life, now you're going to put it together, everyone in my life that expresses I am, that I am, is also the magic of joy, happiness, wellness, understanding, compassion, gratitude, grace, wisdom, beauty, harmony, peace, wellness, energetically well, infinitely balanced. And in here, deep inside yourself, your heart is an infinite well, and it just continues to flourish and blossom this brighter you. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to watching Wisdom Keys with myself, Brother Francis. Remember, tomorrow at 12 p.m., Michelle Vidal will be on with Swanda with the beautiful metaphysical teaching she has for each and every one of us. Have a great weekend, and if you're here in Albuquerque, come on over to 3107 Eubank Boulevard, Northeast, inside the Scottsdale Shopping Plaza to Resident Essentials. I'm there from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. just for $10. You can come in there and learn about creative pathwork meditation and how that works for you. I want to thank you so much. You know, this is week 56. 56 weeks that I've been doing this. And I don't think I missed at all. So I want to thank you all for being here with me. Today's date, of course, is December 16th, 2021. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here with me. My grace is your grace. I'll be here next week, which will be the 23rd, and then I'll be here on the 30th at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My grace is your grace. Until next time, remember now that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. See you all really soon. Bye now.